The night was supposed to be perfect: soft music, crystal lights, and a diamond ring that sparkled as bright as her smile. Alina stood at the edge of the banquet hall, dressed in a shimmering silver gown, her heart trembling with joy and nervousness. She'd spent years building this dream, the man she loved, the life she imagined, the family that finally seemed proud of her. But dreams, she learned that night, could shatter faster than glass. Alina, his voice came, firm and cold. Her fiancé, Rehan, stood before her, his jaw tight and eyes colder than she'd ever seen. "We can't go through with this." The laughter around them faded. The murmurs started. Her breath caught. What are you saying?" He sighed, not with guilt, but with relief. "You're not who I thought you were. My family doesn't approve. They say your background isn't suitable." And honestly, he looked her over as if she were a stranger. "They're right." Her hands trembled. She wanted to scream, to cry, to ask him how love could vanish so easily. But she stood still, because dignity was all she had left. "So, you're rejecting me," she said quietly. He hesitated, then nodded. "It's better this way." As he walked away, leaving her under the golden lights and whispers of pity, something inside her died, and something else was born. That night, Alina didn't return to her family mansion. She took off her heels, left the glittering hall, and walked through the rain until she reached the edge of the city, to a world she'd never known. Her heart throbbed, but her eyes burned with resolve. She wanted to disappear, to escape the pity and gossip that would follow her name like a shadow. So she did. 3 days later, Alina stood before a small house, her expensive clothes replaced with a simple dress. A kind-looking woman answered the door, Amma, as everyone in the neighborhood called her. She ran a small eatery and occasionally helped people find work. "Looking for a job, Beta?" Amma asked kindly. Alina hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, I can work anywhere. I just need a place to stay." Amma smiled. "You can start tomorrow. My nephew, Aisha, drives for a family nearby. She'll help you settle." The name barely registered until the next morning when a sleek black car pulled up. The driver stepped out, tall and confident, with eyes sharp as dusk and a smile that made Alina forget how to breathe. "Hi," the woman said, wiping her hands on her jacket. "I'm Aisha. You must be the new girl Amma mentioned." Alina blinked, her heart skipping for the first time since the engagement disaster. "Yes," she whispered. "I'm Alina." Aisha's lips curved into a grin. "Welcome to the other side of life, Alina." She had no idea this driver would soon change her world. The days that followed were unlike anything Alina had ever lived. Gone were the grand chandeliers and fine china, replaced by the aroma of chai, the chatter of locals, and the rhythm of a simpler life. At Amma's eatery, she learned to knead dough, serve customers, and smile through exhaustion. And then there was Aisha. Every morning, the sound of her car horn meant a new day had begun. She'd stop by before work, lean casually against her car, and tease Alina about her clumsy attempts at pouring tea. "You pour it like it's poison," Aisha laughed one morning, catching the overflowing cup before it burned Alina's hand. "Here, like this." Their fingers brushed, a fleeting touch that sent an unfamiliar warmth through Alina's chest. Aisha was different. She was bold but gentle, confident yet humble. She treated everyone with the same respect, the shopkeeper, the child begging on the corner, and even the broken woman who hid behind a new name and borrowed clothes. At night, Alina often found herself looking out the window, wondering how someone like Aisha could smile so easily in a world so cruel. One evening, it rained again, the same kind of rain that had marked her rejection. The small streets shimmered with water and Alina stood under the awning, lost in memories. That's when Aisha appeared, holding 2 cups of chai. "You look like you're fighting ghosts," Aisha said softly, handing her one. "Maybe I am." Alina smiled faintly. "I used to think love was everything. Turns out, it's just a game for some people." Aisha's gaze softened. "Love isn't a game. You just gave your heart to the wrong player." Silence hung between them, tender, heavy, electric. Over the next few weeks, their friendship deepened. Alina found herself laughing again, sharing small secrets and discovering that Aisha could read people like open books. Yet she never asked about Alina's past. Not once. One evening, Amma called Aisha aside. "Beta, Alina's visa is about to expire. She needs a way to stay here legally, or she'll have to leave." Aisha frowned. "She never told me that." Amma sighed. "She's too proud to ask for help." Later that night, Aisha found Alina sitting under the old banyan tree, staring at the stars. Without preamble, she said, "Marry me." Alina turned sharply. "What?" "Marry me," Aisha repeated calmly. "It'll solve your visa issue." And she hesitated, her eyes softening. "Maybe it'll help you heal." Alina's heart raced. "You can't be serious. You barely know me." Aisha smiled, a sad, knowing smile. Sometimes you don't need to know someone's past to see their heart. The rain began to fall again, gentle, cleansing, like fate rewriting her story. Alina looked into Aisha's eyes, dark, sincere, unflinching, and the wedding was small, almost invisible to the world. No guests, no glamour, no strings of orchids. Just Amma, a local registrar, and 2 women standing under a flickering bulb that hummed softly above their heads. Alina wore a simple white kurta. Aisha, in her crisp black jacket, signed the papers without hesitation. It should have been a transaction, a lifeline wrapped in practicality. But when Aisha reached for her hand and whispered, "You're safe with me now," Alina's heart stuttered. For the first few days, they lived like polite strangers, sharing the same home but walking on separate emotional paths. Aisha left early for work, driving her employers around the city, while Alina helped Amma manage the eatery. But at night, when silence filled the house, small things began to shift. Aisha would bring home her favorite snacks, spicy samosas, chocolate pastries, or mangoes when the season was right, insisting she'd accidentally bought too many. Alina would wait up, pretending to read, just to hear Aisha's key turn in the door. One night, when the power went out, they sat by candlelight. The soft glow painted shadows across Aisha's face, and Alina couldn't help but stare. "You look serious," Aisha teased, her tone light. "I was thinking," Alina murmured. "You don't act like someone who drives for a living." Aisha chuckled, leaning back. "Maybe I just drive for fun." Something about that answer didn't sit right, but Alina didn't press. She learned not to pry into people's mysteries, not when she carried her own. Still, the walls between them began to crack. One morning, Alina woke up to find Aisha cooking breakfast, messy but endearing. The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and cardamom tea. "You cook?" Alina asked, surprised. "I survive," Aisha grinned. "Now taste this and tell me I'm not terrible." She wasn't terrible. In fact, she was disarmingly good. They laughed over breakfast, and for a moment, the ghosts of the past seemed to vanish. As weeks passed, the line between convenience and connection blurred. Aisha became her confidant, her protector, her laughter in dark hours. Alina found herself looking at her not as a savior, but as something she feared to name, because love had betrayed her once before. But one evening changed everything. Aisha returned home bruised, a cut on her lip, her shirt torn slightly at the collar. Alina panicked. What happened? Just, some rich brat thought a driver didn't deserve respect. Aisha tried to brush it off. Alina's eyes burned. You shouldn't have to take that from anyone. Aisha looked at her then, really looked, and something fierce flickered between them. You sound like someone who's been humiliated before. I have, Alina whispered. By someone I thought loved me. Aisha reached out, her fingers brushing Alina's cheek. The air between them had changed. It wasn't spoken, but felt in the glances that lingered too long, in the way their laughter came softer, warmer. Days turned into nights, filled with conversations that ran deep into the dark. Alina told Aisha about her dreams, how she once wanted to start a business of her own, how she loved painting, how she believed in fairy tales before life taught her cruelty. Aisha, in turn, spoke about freedom, the kind that came not from money, but from doing what felt right. I've driven people from every class, Aisha said one evening as they sat on the rooftop, a lantern flickering between them. And you know what I learned? Rich or poor, everyone's chasing something they can't have. Alina smiled faintly. And what are you chasing? Aisha looked at her for a long time. Peace, she said. And, maybe, something real. Alina's chest tightened. Real? Something that doesn't care about status or appearances. Something that doesn't lie. The word lie hung in the air like a storm about to break. Alina looked away. She hadn't told Aisha who she really was, that she was once a wealthy heiress, rejected for being unsuitable. But how could she? The woman who now swept floors and served tea had once owned half of Lahore's skyline. That night, she dreamt of Rihan, his mocking smile, his words echoing, "You're not good enough." She woke up shaking, and before she realized it, Aisha was beside her, holding her close. It's okay, Aisha whispered. You're safe. For the first time, Alina didn't push the comfort away. The next morning, while helping Amma with accounts, Alina noticed something, a newspaper on the counter with a headline that made her freeze. Alina Malik, missing heiress of the Malik Empire still unfound. Her picture stared back at her. Before she could hide it, Aisha walked in. Her eyes darted to the paper, then to Alina's face. The silence was deafening. You're her, Aisha said quietly. You're Alina Malik. Alina's throat tightened. I was. Not anymore. Why didn't you tell me? Tears burned in Alina's eyes. Because I wanted someone to see me as a person, not as a name, not as money. I thought if you knew. You thought I'd treat you differently? Aisha's tone was unreadable. Alina nodded, trembling. Wouldn't you? Aisha sighed and turned away. I don't care who you were. I care about who you are now. Alina's heart leapt, but before she could breathe relief, Aisha's voice hardened. But you lied to me, Alina. You said you wanted real. Then why hide the truth? I didn't hide it to deceive you. I hid it to protect what we have. Alina cried. Aisha stepped back, pain flickering across her face. Then maybe what we have was never real. She left before Alina could say another word. For the first time, Alina realized losing Rihan broke her. The days after Aisha left felt endless. The house was too quiet, the tea too bitter, and even Alma's laughter couldn't fill the ache in Alina's chest. She hadn't realized how deeply Aisha had become woven into her life, her mornings, her silences, her smiles. Alina tried calling her. No answer. She went to the house where Aisha used to park her car empty. It was as if she had disappeared. But Alina was not the kind of woman who gave up anymore. So she went looking. She visited every garage, every driver's stand, every neighborhood Aisha might have worked in. Finally, a man recognized her picture. Oh, Aisha Baji? Haven't seen her in a while. Heard she went back to her estate near Gulberg. Alina blinked. Estate? The man shrugged. Yeah, she's rich, isn't she? Owns a few companies, I think. Never liked talking about it. The words hit her like thunder. Aisha rich? Confusion twisted with disbelief. Had she misheard? Or was this some cruel irony the universe was playing on her? Determined to find the truth, Alina borrowed Alma's old scooter and rode across town. Gulberg shimmered with wealth tall gates, manicured lawns, security guards in black uniforms. At one of the gates, a guard stopped her. "I'm here to see Aisha," Alina said, trying to steady her voice. The guard frowned. "Do you have an appointment?" Before she could reply, a sleek black car rolled out. The tinted window lowered, and there she was, Aisha, in a crisp white suit, her hair neatly tied, her expression unreadable. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the world stopped. Alina whispered, "You lied to me too." Aisha's jaw tightened. "Get in." Inside the mansion, everything screamed wealth: marble floors, portraits, a chandelier bigger than Alma's entire house. Alina turned to her, disbelief in every word. "You're not a driver." "No," Aisha said quietly. "I own the company I drove for." "Why?" "Because I wanted to understand people. Real people. I was tired of being surrounded by lies and greed. Pretending to be a driver let me see the truth of others." Alina's eyes filled with tears, a bitter, ironic realization dawning. "So we were both hiding," she whispered. "Both running from the same thing: money, judgment, the fake world we were born into." Aisha stepped closer, her voice trembling for the first time. "When I met you, I didn't care who you were. But when I found out, I felt betrayed. Not because of your name, but because I thought we had nothing to hide from each other." Alina's tears fell freely. "And now?" Aisha looked away, pain etched in her eyes. "Now I don't know what's real anymore." Alina took a shaky breath. "This is real. What I feel for you is..." Weeks turned into months. The city moved on, but Alina's heart stayed frozen in the moment Aisha turned away. She still worked at Alma's eatery, still smiled at customers, but every night when she closed her eyes, she saw Aisha standing beneath the rain, her eyes full of the same ache Alina carried. Rumors spread quietly through Lahore's elite circles. Aisha Khan, CEO of AK Logistics, seen at charity galas again. And once, in a business magazine, Alina saw her elegant, untouchable, standing beside a banner that read "Empowering Women in Business." Alina smiled bitterly. Even now, she's changing lives. Just not mine. But fate had its own way of circling back. One afternoon, Alma handed Alina a sealed letter. "A man dropped this off for you. Said it was from someone important." With trembling hands, Alina opened it. "If you still believe in what was real, meet me at the old rooftop tonight." Her heart raced. The same rooftop where they'd shared stories, laughter, and silent promises. When she arrived, the evening sky glowed amber. Lanterns flickered softly, just like that first night. And there she was, Aisha, in simple clothes, no trace of her corporate armor, just the woman Alina had fallen for. "You came," Aisha said quietly. "I never